Okay guys, today we're gonna explore the concept of the digital workspace. Digital workspace. A very popular concept. Nowadays it's widely used in a corporate environment. So, to understand the concept of digital workspace, first of all, you need to memorize this pseudo formula. So, digital workspace equals UEM plus identity and access management as a service plus EUC. So basically, think of digital workspace concept as a synergetic effect of integration of these three distinct components. UEM stands for Unified Endpoint Management. Let's emphasize this. Endpoint Management. Identity and access management as a service. Right. And access management as a service. And UC stands for end user computing. So we're gonna explore or uncover each and every component in this list, right? Starting from UEM, continuing with identity and access management as a service, and ending with this end user computing idea. So again, first of all, we're gonna uncover or review each and every component in this list as a standalone concept, right? A standalone solution. And at the end of our discussion, right, we're gonna explore the synergetic effects of integrating all these components, right? So synergy. Okay, let's start with this UEM concept first. Okay, I'm gonna clear the board. So, Unified Endpoint Management. What do we have to know about this, right? So, when we use this concept, we refer to a solution that allows you to manage your endpoints. Endpoints include mobile devices, desktops, laptops, basically any type of terminals or equipment used by the end users to access corporate services, right? The history of Unified Endpoint Management started in roughly 2007. So here's our timeline. So in the year of 2007, something happened, right? A major event happened in the mobile devices world. So basically an iPhone happened, and with this iPhone device an iOS platform emerged. I'm not saying that there were no mobile platforms like iOS before, right? So think about Symbian, think about BlackBerry, right? I'm not claiming that there were no mobile devices in the market, right? I'm just claiming that starting the year of 2007, the power, the functionality, the price for mobile devices, all of these characteristics became comparable to the ones on physical, fully featured desktops, right? And this fact made these mobile devices very attractive for a corporate environment. So many businesses found a way to increase the efficiency of their employees if by the means of using these mobile devices to access corporate services, right? So again, starting the year of 2007, we got these three major mobile platforms: iOS from Apple, Android from Google, and Windows from Microsoft, right? Again, mobile devices with features and power comparable to a fully featured desktop, right? At a low price, right? Okay. A combination of features, power, and a low price allowed these mobile devices, mobile platforms, running these mobile platforms to be widely used in a corporate environment. And this allowed businesses to increase the efficiency of their workforce. But at the same time, that introduced huge mobile risks, a whole new category of information security risks. So think about all the kinds of information security risks related to the usage of mobile devices in a corporate environment. So basically that's a major disadvantage of using mobile devices in a corporate world, right? And that means that business needs a way to mitigate these risks, a way to implement a certain degree of control over these mobile devices used by employees to access corporate services. So this minimal degree of control that must be implemented across mobile devices. Right. Has a name, right? And this name is usually referred as an acronym. Right? MDM. MDM stands for Mobile Device Management. So again, business wants to use mobile devices to increase the efficiency of its workforce, by allowing the workforce to access corporate services and assets via these endpoints. At the same time, the usage of mobile devices introduces huge mobile device or mobile risks related to information security. That means the way to mitigate those risks is to calculate and prove and introduce and implement a certain degree of control over mobile device fleet. And that requires a certain solution. And the name for this solution is Mobile Device Management Solution. Here we have to be very detailed in what we are saying. So let's explore the generic list of requirements for an MDM solution, right? So MDM solution requirements. First of all, so what do we want from a generic MDM solution? We want a certain console, right? I mean, management console, right? We want a certain way to attach or enroll our heterogeneous mobile device fleet onto this console. For example, all these iOS-based, Android-based, or Windows-based devices must have a way to enroll onto this management console. So there's a certain term, enrollment. Enrollment means mobile device is attached to a certain console, management console for management. That means that the console administrator has a privilege to manage a certain device that is enrolled onto this console. Right? And by the way, we want the procedure for this enrollment to be somewhat simplified, right? And we want all this management to happen over the air. So basically, I want to manage all these mobile devices without physically connecting these devices with cables to certain computers, right? I don't even want to physically possess these devices, right? In an ideal scenario, I want my employees to be able to enroll their own devices using a kind of simplified procedure. Right? Okay. What else do we want from a generic MDM solution? Right? What else? We want to be able to send a certain commands from this console to any meaningful subset of mobile devices. For example, a command like lock, so lock the device, or the command like wipe. I don't know, the device is lost or stolen and no problem, I'm just gonna send a wipe command, right? So the next time this device checks in, right, it's gonna receive this wipe command, execute this command, and again do a factory reset. In addition to the ability to send certain commands, I need a way to send configuration profiles. Right? So, for example, I need a way to define the state of a certain device right? And then attach this state of a certain device to a subset of mobile device fleet, right? And guarantee that the current state of this subset of mobile devices is going to be not reverted, is going to convert to a desired state automatically over the air. So you might think of this. So I want to enforce passcode. I want to enforce encryption. Right? So I create this configuration profile that enforces the end user to set the passcode to encrypt the contents of user's device, and then I attach or assign this profile to a subset of mobile device fleet, right? To hundreds or thousands of mobile devices at a time. Okay, and as a result, when this profile finally reaches this endpoint, the user is presented with a prompt. Right? Hey user, you have to encrypt the contents of your device. You have to set the passcode. Right? Okay, something like this. You might say, okay, but what is the actual method to implement this minimal degree of control? Initially, the very first method to implement this minimal degree of control was defined as agent-based. So agent-based method. Agent-based method implies that that here on a mobile platform like iOS or Android or Windows, we have this vendor-defined API, and when this mobile device is actually enrolled under the management of our corporate console, a certain code, a new code is downloaded and installed in our mobile operating system. We call this code an agent, and this code is assigned a set of administrative privileges or administrative's role, right, onto this endpoint. So as a result, agent is becomes a privileged entity on a mobile device. Privileged entity. So this privileged entity regularly checks in with a console, checks the commands queue, the profiles queue, right, and executes the commands and downloads and installs the profiles or enforces the profiles. Right? So this agent-based method is the actual method that allows us to introduce commands and profiles on a console level, right? And allows us to enforce these commands and profiles on the actual endpoint. Right? A good idea. Okay, that was the first method for endpoint management, but this method had a certain problem. I guess you already know the concept of BYOD, or bring your own device. Your own device. So the concept of bring your own device implies that the company allows its employees to use employee-owned devices to access corporate services. And this idea is very convenient, right, for the company, for employees, but this idea has its own drawbacks. Right? So, for example, imagine in your company this BYOD policy is in effect. And the generic user or generic employee is allowed to use his employee-owned device to access corporate services. So, employee-owned device means this device is not trusted by default. Employee-owned device means that before allowing the access to corporate services, this device must be enrolled under the management of corporate council. And the result of this enrollment is the agent controlled by our corporate council. And this agent is a privileged entity on an employee-owned device. So this agent has the same administrator's role as the end user. And as a result, this agent has all the privileges to track the location of this device, to gather information on personal applications, and this in the Western world, in Western countries, this is usually treated as an invasion to privacy. Right? So basically, it's for employee-owned devices. It's very easy to break the privacy laws and regulations. Right? If you are enrolling these employee-owned devices using this agent-based method. Right? So basically, there's an alternative method to enroll employee-owned devices. So this method is it's called a non-privileged container. Method. Usually the container is like an agent, but the agent with no privileges. So employee enrolls his employee-owned device, right? And during this enrollment process, a certain code, again, is introduced on a mobile device, but this code never prompts for privileges. It remains a non-privileged entity. Non-privileged entity, no privileges to track the location, no privileges to gather personal application data, no privileges to actually manage the device. Right? Thus, there's a little chance to break the privacy laws or regulations. Okay, that's a good idea. So let's summarize what we know about this minimal degree of control over mobile device fleet that is called mobile device management. So this minimal degree of control looks like this. We have a corporate council that allows us to centrally manage hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of mobile devices or more. I want to see the inventory lists, structured inventory lists of all the mobile devices I have. For each and every mobile device, I want to see the corresponding owner, the user, because again, I need to know who is personally accountable for this device. For each and every device, I want to be able to send a certain commands, certain configuration profiles over the air. For each and every device, I need to provide a simplified procedure convenient for my end users that are not IT savvy persons. Procedure to enroll their devices. And I need a solution to distinguish between employee-owned devices and corporate-owned devices. For corporate-owned devices, it is usually applicable to enroll these devices using privileged agent-based method. For employee-owned devices, it's usually applicable to use this non-privileged container enrollment method. Just don't forget, we need to comply with privacy laws and regulations. So, as a result, by the year of 2010, a whole new market emerged, a market for MDM solutions. So mobile device management solutions became very popular at the moment, right? And a generic mobile device management solution looked like this, similar to this diagram. Okay, but what else? What else? What else is interesting here? So, in addition to all this MDM related functionality, by the year of 2015, a subset of MDM solutions evolved into something new, something that provided some additional functionality, right? Starting from something called MEM. MEM stands for Mobile Device Management. No, sorry, Mobile Email Management. Yeah, email. It's email management. The idea is pretty simple. We want to allow a secure access to a corporate email infrastructure from these mobile devices. So what does it mean to manage the mobile email? First of all, it means that we need a universal mobile email client. That looks and behaves similar, if not identical, on each and every major mobile platform. Think about a universal mobile email client application, again, that looks and behaves similar, if not identical, on each and every mobile device platform. So that allows you to train your end users only once. This mobile email client must be sort of smart and capable of directly interacting with your corporate management console. This mobile email client must have a set of DLP, data leakage prevention functions. For example, yes, you are allowed to access your corporate email, but only via this secure mobile email client. When you, synchronize your corporate email, calendar, or contacts, you are not allowed to export this information outside of this mobile email client. You're not allowed to mix your personal mail with your corporate email. You are allowed to view the email attachments only within the secure email client. Something like this. You're not allowed to copy and paste. Something like this. And don't forget about the ability to push the configuration for your mobile email clients across your mobile device fleet. So here's my Exchange ActiveSync configuration profile for the secure mobile email client, and this configuration profile is pushed to hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of mobile devices over the air, right? What else? We need not only to protect the endpoints, we need to protect the corporate email infrastructure. So we usually use this term MDM awareness for email infrastructure. So the idea is pretty simple. So here's my corporate email server. So whoever is accessing this corporate email server's front end, a generic email client, must be checked if it's under the control of our corporate MDM console, right? Something like this. So we are talking about integrating your MDM solution with your email server management component. So here's my MDM console, here's my email management component. So this integration works in both directions. So this information flow refers to ability for email server to send the lists of email clients that are trying to access its front end to an MDM console. So client 1, client 2, client 3, etc., right, are trying to access our corporate email front end. So at least this information is visible to MDM administrator. So MDM administrator might easily identify unmanaged email clients. Right? And in the opposite direction, the flow in opposite direction refers to ability for MDM administrator to impose some restrictions. Something like mobile email policy. Right? So, hey, corporate email server, right? If the email client who's trying to access your front end is not managed, is not under my control, then block the access, right? Or impose some restrictions. Interesting idea. Okay. But that's not all. In addition to mobile email management functionality, we need something called MAM, Mobile Application Management. The idea of mobile application management is related to a corporate mobile application catalog. Right? So we'll know about public mobile application catalogs, like Google Play Market or Microsoft Store. Right? So we just need to create our own corporate mobile application catalog. So this corporate mobile application catalog is not public. It's for our employees only. Right? So the access to this corporate mobile application catalog is controlled. This mobile application catalog is populated with certain mobile applications from public app stores, some custom mobile applications, right, specifically developed for our internal use, right? And this whole catalog is controlled by our staff, by our administrators. So whenever our employee needs to access a certain mobile application, right, to perform its job duties, right, he accesses this corporate mobile application catalog that is usually represented as a distinct icon, right, on its mobile device desktop. In addition to that, think about ability to automate each and every phase of mobile application lifecycle. So for each and every mobile application published in this corporate mobile application catalog, we can completely automate mobile application lifecycle. So I want this mobile application to be automatically downloaded and installed with a certain configuration across this subset of mobile device fleet. So yes, it's done. I want to change the configuration for this subset of mobile application instances previously installed across hundreds or thousands of endpoints. No problem, right? Okay. What else was added? To the set of functionality. MCM. C stands for content, or mobile content management. Again, the idea is simple. Right? For our employees to perform their job duties, they usually need to access certain corporate content. When I use this term, content, think about office applications, for example, or media files, right? So this content, corporate content, usually is very sensitive. It's usually classified. For each and every classification, there's a certain degree of control that must be implemented, right, and enforced. So MCM means that, first of all, we need this universal secure mobile office application that, again, looks and behaves similar, if not identical, on each and every major mobile platform. Right? So if you want to access corporate content, please download and install this secure mobile office application from our corporate mobile application catalog, right? Or this secure mobile office application is automatically pre-installed on your endpoint as long as it's enrolled onto our console. And then if you are authorized to access certain content, it's automatically downloaded, or at least it becomes visible from within the secure mobile office application, right? Disregarding the actual location for this content. This content might be uploaded onto our MDM console. This content might sit on a public cloud service provider environment, like Dropbox, like Google Drive, or this content might sit in a certain repository behind the corporate firewall, like a file share or SharePoint farm. Doesn't matter. So, from the user standpoint, as long as you are authorized to access certain content, right, you'll be able to access this content from within this secure mobile office application, right, in a secure fashion according to corporate security policies. So think about the secure mobile office application as a crypto container with strong hybrid encryption and certificates and sophisticated data leakage prevention functionality. Yes, you are allowed to see this document, but not to edit this. You are allowed to read, but not to copy and paste the contents of this document. You are allowed to read and edit this document, but not to export this document outside of this crypto container. Crazy stuff. But that's not all. In addition to MEM, MAM, MCM functionality, we need something called MBM. B stands for browsing. Again, most of the corporate resources are web-based. So that means if you need to access these resources, you need a certain browser. Yes, you might say, we do have a mobile browser on each and every mobile platform. But what about controlling the access to web resources, to corporate web resources? So when your mobile device is attached to a corporate wireless network, all the access from this mobile device to web resources is controlled by corporate firewalls. But think about switching to mobile internet connection. So there's no corporate firewall controlling your access. So you need a way to control the access on the endpoint itself. So basically the solution is to create a universal, secure mobile browser that looks and behaves similar, if not identical, on each and every major platform. Again, to train your end users only once. Right? This mobile browser must be smart enough to directly interact with your corporate MDM console, right? And enforce certain restrictions like blacklists, whitelists, to enforce the accounting for users' actions. So Kuzma was trying to access a certain restricted URL. So this failed attempt was logged and reported back to our console. Okay. So if you add all these functionality, mobile email management, mobile application management, content management, and browsing management to your existing minimal degree of control, That means you are using EMM solution. EMM stands for Enterprise Mobility Management. So again, Enterprise Mobility Management. As I've already said, by the year of 2015, a subset of MDM solutions evolved to this EMM state. Right? And again, sort of pseudo formula, right? MDM plus MEM plus MEM plus MCM plus MBM equals EMM. Okay, but what happened next? Right? What happened next? By the year of 2017, a subset of EMM solutions emerged or evolved under something called Unified Endpoint Management. So, according to our pseudo formula, that's a call for adding some delta functionality to our existing EMM related functionality. Right? So, if you add something to Enterprise Mobility Management, you get this Unified Endpoint Management. So, what's the delta? What's the delta? First of all, the first part of this delta is sort of obvious. So, previously, we were talking about managing the mobile devices. Think about all these iOS, Android, Windows-based devices, smartphones, right? Or something. But now let's enroll fully featured desktops and laptops running Windows, macOS. That's a good idea. Because now, using a single centralized console, we can manage almost every imaginable endpoint that can be used by our employees to access corporate services. And of course, you might say, fully featured corporate desktops and laptops are usually under the control of Microsoft System Center Configuration Manager. Right? Especially if we are talking about Windows-based desktops and laptops, right? So you might say, okay, right, but now we are tending to switch to a different console, to a different solution. That means we need a way to migrate all these desktops and laptops, right, from the management of this console to our own console without implying a noticeable downtime. Okay. What else? What else in this delta is in this delta? So, you know what? If we're talking about a standalone UEM solution, basically that's all. Right? Because if we'll try to add more parts of this delta, these parts become vendor specific. So we have to dive deeper into some vendor solution, like Mobile Iron, like VMware workspace one UEM, right? But still, UEM equals EMM plus a certain delta of functionality. Okay. But the rest of this delta, which is vendor specific, is related to integration of UEM solution and identity and access management solution. So think about some vendor specific synergetic effects of UEM and identity and access management as a server solutions integration. And that's all for this UEM part of digital workspace.